Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Kelvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, it's been a while.
It has. It's been a couple weeks since you've been on, but I know you've been busy IRL, so I'm not gonna hold that against you.
A lot of life things happened, and can't jump on the podcast. But I'm back.
Yeah, no, we had a great time here with Cam and Deanna. We got to talking with them about some of their experiences playing, as well as we did a little bit of a one-shot building session with them last week. I don't know how much of it you've caught by now, but we kind of took the concept of a goblin dungeon and sort of turned it on its head a bit. Added some new interesting elements to it.
Oh, well,
so
I mean,
that was
anyways, yeah, nice.
We didn't stat anything out or do all the technical map stuff, but we came up with the overall idea, so I thought that was pretty fun to do. But as for this podcast itself, it's basically just a podcast about GM advice. We wanted to get a casual approach to running tabletop RPGs, sort of demystify things a bit, make them seem a bit more approachable for people who might not have tried it out or are nervous about trying it out. And of course, you can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Win with Dice. Be sure to, check us out there if you want to know more about what we do. I also want to say up top that if you have any specific questions about running games, running RPGs and stuff like that, feel free to drop them in the comments, and we'll either reply there or put it in our list of topics for another episode. We've got a decent list on things there, so we'll be around for a while. We've been doing this we're coming out to 40 episodes, which means we're almost at 50, which means we're almost at a year. So.
Which is kind of nuts. I don't know what we're gonna do if we did a year of content. That's crazy. Surprised that anyone's listened to us blab on for a year, but
I think we do well.
It's good though. Yeah, it's good.
So I do have some recaps for this episode. That's a thing we usually do, I find, but they're really good because we get to talk about our games and also games we play and games that we run and just things that we pick up from them and all sorts of things like that we can give sort of an insight on. But before we get to that, we also have to do the Win with Dice weekly GM tip of the week, which I've had to take over a couple of times now, and I again do not have anything prepared.
All right, I got something.
Oh, really?
Something that's super useful and jogged my memory because I was catching. Shoot, I forgot his name. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
But I'll put it as it's Matt Koval's friend, Jim Murphy. Yeah,
Okay.
It's Jim Murphy. I love how that's how I remember Jim Murphy. It's Matt Koval's friend, Jim Murphy. He has this thing on his channel where he's how to be a minimalist DM, which is put a bunch of work in beforehand and have a bunch of stuff on the ready, just so when the party runs onto something, then you can just whip it out and it's not you're not struggling at the last minute to get something put together, right? So, one thing he does, he takes cue cards and, the little 3x5 cards and puts monster stats on them. So he would stat out a bunch of, I don't know, lizard people. I think he was running some stuff in some swamps. So he statted a couple lizard men, but he just, instead of taking, using the stats out of the, monster manual or the bestiary or whatever system he was running, he just put the information he's gonna need, right? So it's how much to hit, how much damage, saves, any special abilities that he would want to remember to use. Maybe he might put a couple spells at the back, little brief descriptions of what they do and what the save stuff is, and having that information in cards, it's really helpful. But I've used them in the past when we were playing IRL, and just having maybe not all of the monsters, but maybe something that I when we were doing Ineon, I had a bunch of goblins statted out already. So anytime we were fighting goblins, I just pulled out whatever goblin was necessary, right? Because goblins were a big enemy group in Ineon. So yeah, cue cards, man. Also, they could write down information like what kind of jank this monster's carrying, right? Maybe some special boss characters. You want to put some notes of like one-liners or information that they might know in case the party doesn't just kill the bad guy, right?
Exactly.
Stuff like that. And it's easy, it's portable, and you can like toss those things in a pencil case or whatever. Or if you have like a rolling tray, you throw them in your rolling tray. And back when, you know, you could travel and move around and you were DMing at somebody else's house, you could just grab it and go. But it's a good way to keep everything organized and in a small, neat package. So yeah, that's my DM tip of the week. Cue cards. Put your monster stats and crap on it.
I think that's also doable, like when you're playing online. You can have you just block out like some notes for like a certain page or something like that. Or you can even have cue cards physically in your hand that you have as a quick reference to look down at. Depending on how you feel as like how your organizational system works for that sort of thing. Like for me, I always end up with like a dozen tabs open, but gotta say I do kind of like the idea of just having like a cue card in front of me that I can just reference to if I don't have the stats of something put down properly, or if I just need like, oh yeah, they have this loot on them or something like that. I think that's a good idea to have like your notes organized in whatever way is quickest for you to reference to them.
Yeah, well, that's for me. It's I use for boss fights when I'm doing like my encounter choreography, I guess you want to call it. So it'd be, you know, whatever the stages are for the boss fight, I'll write them down. And like if I have like specific like I'm using a bunch of different monsters. So in Inion, one of the finales, they fought like a werewolf, an ogre, what else? A barghest, and a hag.
Yep.
I think that was it. There was probably more. I don't remember, but yeah, maybe some hobgoblins or goblins were in there.
It felt like there was.
But yeah, it was just. Yeah, there was a lot of different monsters. Oh yeah, and there was a dark strider, a dark folk person. Yeah, that's what I was missing. So you know, there's like 5 different types of baddies. So I just took their stat. I literally just opened up a Word document and used like the snipping tool and just straight from the PDF just snipped out little bits of stuff that I would need to just reference quickly. Put everything on like 2 pages I think it fit on. So, and it made running that fight like just so much easier because I don't have to flip through pages in the book or whatever. I just had it right at my fingertips in one document. So
yeah
it works. Trust me, it works.
Definitely shortening the notes you need works. You don't need the environment of everything. You just need how much it hurts the players.
You're right. Right. Definitely. You don't need all of the. You don't need its skills in diplomacy because like what?
Yeah, that's not happening.
Why do you need to know? I'm actually kind of glad because I know Pathfinder just stopped putting irrelevant information on there, right? Because you know back in the monster manual, I guess in old Pathfinder used to do it too, but in D&D used to be really egregious in 3.5, but they would just have like all of the things skills.
Yeah.
Right. And you're just like, why do I need to know that, you know, this I don't know, slime has a -10 in diplomacy or something like that, right? Like, I like that Pathfinder only keeps like relevant skills, and you only really get like the diplomacy or intimidation and all that stuff with like higher, more intellectual bad guys, you know, like your big boss characters like dragons, or like, you know, the hags have a deception stat because, you know, they're probably gonna lie and stuff and argue and diplomatize.
Yeah. So that's probably what you'll need it for. All right, I think that's a good tip to take to the bank. We can get on to the meat of the show, which is these recaps. So I've got a couple of 3 different sessions from 2 different games rather to recap. First up being our Phandelver game that we're playing in Pathfinder 2e, run by our friend Tim, and also the Crown of Dragons game that I've been running, a home game I've been running with another group of people. So let's start with Phandelver then, because there was a thing I wanted to ask about.
Okay, yeah.
That I had to ask you specifically because you weren't available for that game. So, Tim did an interesting thing with Silrona sort of stepping out temporarily. I don't know how much of it was run by you beforehand. I don't know how much of this was your idea or that you collabed with. I'm really curious with the process of that. So, let's get into this.
Yeah. So, right. Okay. I mean, did it happen immediately, or do you want to just start the?
Oh well, I can set up the because it's been a bit since we last talked about it.
Okay.
So pretty much the party was helping this town, which was being plagued by this gang called the Red Brands. We had gathered our forces and sort of raided the Red Brands' underground base, as well as rescuing some hostages that were held there. At this point, we were all just resting up at the local inn, recovering from the battle. Some characters, had to step out for a bit. Kavo, the half-orc, who is a miner, who's being played by our friend Corey, he is going to sort of do some prospecting in the area, because that's what he was there for in the first place. So it was left to myself, Teeks, Phalum, this sort of sailor fighter, and Bren, our ranger with a bow, who is better at punching than he is with arrows. We were all just sort of waking up in the morning. Teeks was a bit moody because she got some memory flashes from a mental attack. Phalum was missing the gold he was supposed to get from the Red Brands. And Bren was just hungry. But before we could do anything really, there was this unusual noise at Silrona's door. Silrona being the wizard that you, Ramon, are playing, who ended up being a cowboy wizard somehow. So what we heard was the wind whistling from within the room, and then this loud cracking sound, like a whip cracking. We tried to listen in, but rolled really low on perception, because of course we did. So we open the door, weapons raised, expecting something terrible. There's this bright yellow light and this tornado of sand swirling, and Silrona is in the middle of it, just sort of hovering off the ground. And then he suddenly disappears. He just suddenly vanishes, and then there's this echoing neigh sound, from a horse or something. And then this all that's left is this iron horseshoe that just falls to the ground with a loud thud. And I have no idea what the hell any of that meant.
Good old Tim.
So I don't know. We did end up talking to a magic shop owner about this stuff, and I don't know what happened to Silrona. Is he in some cowboy dimension?
Oh man. Yeah. Well, what did the magic shop owner say?
Let's see, where was that? Yeah, no, it was some sort of because he bought a hat. Silrona bought a cowboy hat. It had some sort of semi-cursed magic on it. Apparently she was supposed to warn you about it, but you had rushed out once you got it, so excited to be a cowboy, I guess. After a number of days wearing it, on the third day, the people who wear it just disappear. Sometimes they come back and they tell stories of this other place that they've been to, but sometimes they just sort of are gone. And then we were carrying the horseshoe, and apparently when they come back, they'll come back to the location where the horseshoe is. So at this point, I think Teeks is wearing it around her neck, just because we don't want to put it in a backpack in case you popped out inside a backpack and tore it open.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay. Well,
I don't know, because I know you had to step away for a bit, and you weren't sure if you're going to be able to make regular games. So I get that you needed some sort of way to usher Silrona off for a bit. It's just a little unexpected.
Yeah. So I was because I worked it out with Tim, because I explained to him that hey, I want to play a new game, but I don't know if I'm gonna have time all the time when everyone else is available, right? So I'll jump in as whenever I can. Can we figure something out to do with my character? He's a wizard, so some crazy shit could happen, right? Maybe he just gets teleported away or whatever, right? And now and also since he's a cowboy, maybe he just gets it's the curse of the wizard cowboy, where he just gets teleported away, right? That could just be like where my character goes when I'm not able to make games. And Tim was super accommodating and thought the idea was great. So I had no clue what the fluff would be or the mechanics of this cowboy curse. But it sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was very awesome. It's just like, because Silrona's the only real like magic expert there. Like Teeks can do magic, but she's not as much of a learned arcane expert as an actual trained wizard would be. So it was all very confusing.
It was like, what? But why? No, it's awesome. I'm glad. I'm glad that you guys had fun with it. I mean, retroactively hearing about it, I'm having fun with it.
So now I've got.
But yeah, it was.
I've got the horseshoe.
Totally not planned. Oh, nice. So when I show up, it's like sha.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna happen. But
I'll regale you about stories of wherever I go. Maybe I'll make some shit up, and so I'll have like a long piece of yarn to tell you guys.
Oh yeah.
When I get back.
I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's like I got summoned to another place to help whoever summoned me, like an actual summoned creature. Like you summon like a bear. Summon ally.
Interesting.
It's just summon, but like in their dimension or their universe, it's like summon cowboy. So I show up, and then I'm like in a western.
That's a great spell. Summon cowboy.
Summon cowboy.
I just started following this bot on Twitter that like randomly generates names of spells. That would be a good one. Summon cowboy. And I got another funny story about summons to tell you about in the other game, but we'll get to that.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, so while Sirona was, I guess, summoned, we had to make do on our own. So we followed up just finished off some things in town. There was one particular person who wanted to specifically know that Glassstaff, the leader of the Red Brands, was dead. So, we dealt with them. They paid us some gold. We set aside some of it for the party members who weren't there. We split it fairly, quote unquote.
How nice of you guys.
Look, Teeks is a good person. Sort of. Maybe.
Sort of. I mean, I definitely would not.
Yeah, no, I know. That's fair. You couldn't see me, but I said fairly. I did like the air quotes.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so we got a bit of a discount on the heal potions as well from the shop owner. And then after that, we set off to deal with some things around town. So one of the issues among the many, those being like there's a banshee around, there's some orcs, there's a druid we gotta visit. Another thing was undead who were attacking people, sort of, I think it was northeast from the town, if I recall what the map looked like. I'd have to double check. But basically we just kind of went out there. We were down a few people, so our plan was just, go out there, see what's up, and then head on back. We did get into some really interesting player conversations. Fallum was talking with Bren. At some point, Bren said something like, "Wouldn't you like to know, Sea Boy?" I don't know. I just thought that was really funny. I don't know why I specifically made a note of that. I just thought it was really funny at the time. But also, we just learned some more stuff about each other. Teeks and Fallum got to talking about how both their fathers were sailors, and I'm like, Player Calvin is really curious about that, because Player Calvin feels like there's some connection there that he's missing, but hasn't come up yet. But we camped out a bit.
Out of all of the sea people, or I was gonna say all of the sailors in the ocean, like your dads know each other.
It's possible. Like, we did get the name
so
of Fallum's old ship, and I was like, do I know that ship name? No, I don't recognize it? I don't know. I feel like there's something there. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I just expect those tropes.
True.
But yeah, we had to camp out for a bit, and then we got attacked by some, I believe it was goblins. Oh no, it was ghouls who first came up to us. Fallum got a really gory shield bash in on a ghoul. Brent's hand got covered in goo from punching a ghoul. I think I had given him Magic Fang at the time because it was like I specifically gave Bren the ability to enhance his unarmed attacks. So I was like, "You're not gonna use your bow. You don't need that."
Nice try.
No, punching is like a close range bow, except not piercing and with a hand. But again, Tim's just like really great at like the descriptions of combat. I'm sure we say this like every single time we recap a Phandelver game, but it quickly became one of my favorite things about playing with him. That he's just like really good at setting that state, really good at describing the result of dice things. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's definitely really good at it.
Oh yeah. So Phalum borrowed Teeks' tent for a bit while she finished watch because there was like a dead ghoul stinking up the place. We traveled a bit more. Teeks had a sort of disturbing dream. There was a brief moment of, I don't know what I would call it, but Teeks and Bren briefly held hands because Bren's hands got all covered in like ghoul innards after punching them a bunch. And Teeks offered to use prestidigitation to clean them. So Teeks just briefly held Bren's hands, and I don't know, is there something there? Maybe we'll find out. I kind of doubt it, though. They're both wild cards in their own different ways.
Yeah, you guys are both crazy.
The next yeah. Whatever's happening there is probably a bad idea. But the next thing we came across is this really sloppily written "keep out" sign. I think it was written in blood or something like that. But it was very like poorly written and stuff. It was in the middle of our path where we were heading to. So we sort of were walking on guard for a bit, and we came across some ruins, like like mostly an old, partially collapsed tower, and some walls. And we were sneaking for a bit, which didn't last very long, I will admit. And then we ran into some zombies and a lit fire. So this was the combat where things kind of went, they were okay, and then they went south. Because as much as we could take on a zombie, we very quickly got surrounded. And I was going to do, because the heal spell in Pathfinder 2, when you'd use 3 actions for it, it does a burst. And then it'll heal 1d8 as well as do 1d8 damage to any undead creatures. So I was like, okay, I'm going to save it for when we are like specifically surrounded, because that's about to happen in a couple of rounds. And then it did, and I was like, okay, zombies, I got something for you now. I got something for you. And I let off this burst, and I used up my whole turn. I used up all 3 actions of my turn to do this. And I rolled a 1. On the T8.
Calvin.
Oh boy.
Always.
Ain't it the way? Because like I have very little spells. Like I leveled up, so now I can do 3 level 1 spells. Yay. And I gotta prepare them. So it's like specifically I had like 2 heals and then 1 something else, probably some damaging spell. Oh no, I had the magic hand thing. And I had already done that before the combat, so I was like, here's my chance, I'm gonna do my big old burst. I got 1, and the other one, it wasn't much higher, it was like 2 or 3. So, didn't really go super well for us. As a result of that, Phalum did go down eventually, and then this strange guy appeared. Okay, I gotta say, I really like, Tim does characters sometimes. That you remember the Nothic and how he was like this really creepy and like weird guy that Tim just really nailed. This person who we eventually learned was Hamun Kost. He was like this really eccentric wizard type who had laid claim to the area legally, apparently. And had created a sort of a zombie workforce that he was using to do like, would like to do work for him, like construction work and stuff. He was also digging in the area, apparently looking for something, I believe. And he was just really offended that people from the town kept trying to use the well in his area, because that's sort of what the issue was, that there was this well here and people kept getting attacked by undead whenever they tried to use it. Apparently it was this guy who claimed he legally owned the area, and he had his zombies paint a keep out sign.
What? These characters are so ridiculous.
He was just like the weirdest guy, and Teeks was trying to negotiate with him because it was like we had to get people back on their feet, and Teeks was just like, I don't know how to deal with this guy. I don't know how to because all he wanted to do was get the town access to the well again. And he was like, nope, it's on my property. Too bad for them. What do I care? So we did eventually come to an agreement, because apparently this strange guy, he wants some information from the Banshee, the one we were already tasked with sort of getting something from by another person in town. What he wanted was the name of the wizard who built the original ruined tower, which I don't think we have. At least if we do, then I didn't write it down. But he also wants the orcs removed from the area, which is another thing that we were just gonna do. So Teeks was like, sure, we'll do those things for you, without mentioning that we were already gonna do them. And then hopefully that'll go a ways into, making some sort of agreement to allow people in town to use the well. And as we were spending more time there, we sort of discovered that he was doing some sort of archaeology, looking specifically for some ancient, I think they were elven signet rings, that we, I think, did discover at least one of previously. So yeah, we sort of ended up just resting a bit after that. We did get attacked by some hobgoblins again, but we're kind of tasked now with, again, still dealing with the Banshee and the orcs, but now we've got 2 people who want us to do that. And I don't know, I had a lot of fun with that guy. I had no idea how to approach this person, because it was like, we clearly can't fight him, especially in the condition we were in after the zombies, and there were still more zombies. So it's like, we definitely can't fight him. He's probably more powerful than us, but he's also how do you negotiate with someone who has what they want already? He doesn't care about the town. He I was saying, I don't know, what if they just pay you to use the well? But he's like, whatever. I'm crazy old wizard. So I don't know. Again,
crazy old wizards are always fun to deal with, because it's always I can just make my own money. I'm a wizard with a zombie army.
So yeah, I don't know, really fun character. Hopefully he's not going to turn on us. He's probably going to turn on us. I assume so. He did suggest using us for more of his workforce before we were able to negotiate.
Well, hopefully Solrona could come back and he could have another wizard duel.
Yeah, that would be nice, because I'm running low on spells. I am constantly low on spells. But yeah, again, another really fun game. Really like a lot of what Tim does. Definitely, I did mention that I had ripped off his sort of the way he organized the quest list. So that was that's still fun. I'm still getting a lot of use out of that, and I don't know, I don't really have much else to say. I think just another fun session, really. To summarize it.
It sounds. Yeah, man. More wizards to duel. More people.
I did, because I was under the impression that you would want to do that Banshee thing, so I was like, let's, I guess, deal with the undead first. So I don't know, because you're.
Oh, that's fine. To be honest with you, I'd rather not go and fight a Banshee. I feel like that's just bad luck.
Okay, we can save the orcs for you instead.
Yeah, probably a good idea. Maybe by then I'll have Fireball and we'll just be zap.
You better hope so.
I feel like I'm still a ways away from Fireball though, but that's okay. We'll figure it out.
All right, so yeah, fun Phandelver session. But I did also run a couple of sessions of the Crown of Dragons game. with some players that had recently, again, had to switch out a significant chunk of the party. Because, like I explained previously when I was talking about my Crown of Dragons game, they are on a quest to find this magical crown, which is supposed to fit all 5 orbs of dragonkind, and then supposedly give the wearer control over all the dragons of the realm, even though no dragons have been seen in this realm for centuries. That is the, I guess, summation of the story. So the point where they are at now is that they were going to this massive library to sort of learn more about like dragons in general and stuff like that. One player had like a while back said that they wanted to change characters. You know, they wanted to switch to a fighter because they wanted to start doing more damage and stuff. So it was like, okay, we can definitely do that. We can either switch out if the character dies. But the plan was that because their character is this wizard who learned at the school that they were going to in the first place, his character was going to stay there and hang out, just work there, and then we were going to introduce this new character. So that switch was already planned. But then we had another player whose character died on the way. They switched to a rogue briefly. They weren't really into it, so they're going to play a bard. So I was like, okay, we'll switch when we get to that location. And then while they're on the sea traveling there, another person's character died. So the next session we had to switch them out. So it ended up with, you know, having to switch out 3 characters all at once. Which, you know, I kind of wish it had been split out a bit more, but that session did still go well. Because I had talked about it previously when I was talking about this. I think the session still went well. It felt a bit bumpy from my end, but really all sessions do. So, but everyone had fun, and I was like, okay, now we're on like an actual path again. Because I don't know if I had mentioned this on the show, but we were at a point where they had stopped to do some research, and they were like, okay, the orbs might be in these specific areas around the map, and we can travel to them, and I have like the map and everything. And I mentioned to them, I don't know if I said this on the show, that like, this is where I would have started them if I had started this campaign now. Like with my experience that I've had of running games, this is where I would have put them now, where they have like, here's all the goal points that you can go to, and you're also looking for this thing where you don't know exactly where it is, like, because they don't know exactly where the crown is, but they know where the orbs might be. And I was saying, like, if it were me now, this is where I would have put them, and I probably would have trimmed down some of the, like, side quest stuff, because again, a lot of this is leftover things from me starting this game in 2018, and like being slightly less confident, so I would use like a whole lot of like pre-written adventures, and I would take a bunch of things from them and some random ideas, and I ended up having like, all these like unfinished threads that are just like lying out there. But I mean, like I've essentially ended up with a game that's gonna last a long time. So, you know, and they're also really into it. Like, one of the players, I don't know if you've seen, no, you have seen this. One of the players sort of like drew out like the world map in like the same sort of style that you would see in like a fantasy novel or something like that. And I was just like, I was out of my seat, man. I was blown away. So,
it's the dream.
Yeah, just really happy and excited about that. One problem though, they're tough. They are strong.
The players are strong?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, Calvin. I would argue that you keep murdering them, but
that's fair. That is fair. They're hardened by battle.
Nice.
So when we came back, they were still at the school essentially. So a bunch of undead attacked the school. They were kind of split up. Some of them were at like a tavern area. Some of them were back near the library still. But then they all heard like these screams and stuff coming from outside, and it was a whole bunch of zombies. So there was a couple of things that going on here. One being that I wanted to put something, I wanted to throw like a pile of low-level things at them, and then some higher-level stuff, so they can get used to their new characters and abilities and stuff. Because this was their first like combat session with their new characters. So I already
Yeah.
established like ages ago that there was some sort of device that was being used that could like temporarily summon these very like temporary undead. Like when it was used, it could summon like skeletons or zombies that were very low level, but it would instantly summon a bunch of them, and then once they died, they would just like disappear. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, and a character that I had planned for them to meet in this area when I had planned this whole thing ages ago, that was going on. So they go out into the courtyard. There's zombies on one side, skeletons on the other. I had a brief moment where I was like, is this too many of these things? I don't know. Let's find out. They did, looking at their XP stats, they did fight like 11 zombies and 11 skeletons that were kind of split up between 2 different locations. But they handled them pretty damn well, if I say so myself. So essentially what was going on in the courtyard is there was this one, it was a vampire spawn that was hiding until someone was able to spot it. And they had these, I called them necro bombs, that when you throw it...
Necro bombs?
Yeah, necro bomb.
Hopefully. Does it have like a skull on it?
Obviously.
Just like
Of course it does.
It's just like a black orb with like a fuse. It's just like a skull on it. It's like, it's the necropomp.
Exactly. That is exactly what it is. But yeah, like they throw it and then someone's like, I think it was like 1d4 or 1d6 undead. So they start blasting through these undead and they are just getting really like they're adjusting to their spells because they did a lot of reading and stuff before going into it. So I was like,
Yeah.
I was just really happy and excited. I'm so glad when people are excited for a game I'm running and they were talking about like, what spells did you take? What spells did you take? And I was like, oh god, I'm so glad you're into this game because I would be super nervous if you weren't.
Nice. And then I could just wait, and then they'll make their own fun, and then they'll think I did it.
I'll take the credit. So yeah, I also got to do another interesting thing, which was I got to split them up on different maps. By the magic of Roll20, I can drag people to different maps, different combat maps. So essentially what happened was, after they had
Wait.
Oh, you just like
You
click
can
on
do
the
that?
name and drag it up to the thing. Yeah.
Oh. Okay, cool. I didn't know that. It's like,
And then you can drag
No,
them
I
all
didn't.
back together.
oh, cool. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to abuse that more and more. But yeah, essentially like that vampire spawn had run away, and they obviously ran into the building to get out of the sunlight, because they are slowed in the sunlight. So they ran into the building, some people split off to chase it, and some people were mopping up the last of the undead in the courtyard. So I was like switching back and forth between them, and I was able to really get into describing like, because where the vampire spawn went was to the headmaster's office, the headmaster of the academy that they were hanging out at. And at that time, that person was being menaced by several more undead and an anti-paladin who was sort of interrogating them because the anti-paladin had left like this mysterious note in the sewer where they had previously run into them a few sessions ago.
Oh my god. The sewer note?
Yeah, man, sewer notes.
Sewer notes. How you and your PCs can have a great campaign. Just put a bunch of notes in sewers and then pay them off later at random moments. You thought you were safe until sewer notes showed back up.
Exactly. But yeah, like they had this thing there that was all like they had sort of a larger version of the bomb that was able to just like magically summon undead, and that was the last time I had thrown like a bunch of stuff at them. So they knew the person was gonna be there, and the anti-paladin was like also looking for the orbs, but instead of going to the library, they were just gonna beat up the headmaster for information, because you know that's how you get it. That's how you learn. So yeah, like it was really interesting because I had like one person there and then a couple people there, and then they were sort of like split off, and there was like a whole bunch of undead there, and then the anti-paladin, like they just turned around because they were like all the way at the other side of the office at this long room, so they just took out a javelin and like waited. They were just gonna wait. They were gonna stand there and be really cool. They didn't expect that they were gonna get their butt totally kicked, but that certainly did happen. So once the party was able to regroup, they were able to sort of like, one person went up to fight the vampire because the vampire was hiding on sort of like an upper level of the office. The others were plowing through the undead. They got up to the anti-paladin, who, you know, they prepared an action to throw a javelin, which they did. Then they took out their big ol' axe and they were doing combat with the fighter, who was just doing incredibly. Everyone was doing incredibly.
All your players are super stoked. They're like, oh! I could like hear the cheers. That's
so
always
proud
awesome.
of them. But yeah, this anti-paladin, like, they did have some information that was going to be important. I just didn't expect the players to be so damn deadly. They did. This is the one thing that I do have to talk about, because this was really impressive to me, was sort of this combo strategy. One player hit him with a slow spell, which like reduces the actions that the character can do. Unfortunately, I rolled a 1 on this save, so he crit failed, so he was slowed 2. So he loses 2 actions in turn, which means he only gets 1 action and it lasts for a minute. So essentially he has 10 rounds of only 1 action, which is in and of itself a problem, because he has an ability that takes 2 actions that I now couldn't do.
Wow. What a Navy SEALs maneuver, like.
No, but here's the thing, it wasn't over, because next, another person hit him with a command spell, and he did fail that check, so then he had to use the first action on his next turn to follow that command, and he only had 1 action, and the command that was given was to fall prone, so essentially, so the next turn, he had no choice, this anti-paladin had no choice but to fall prone, and then get stomped on by the fighter. And then next, he had no choice but to get up, because he has to get back up to stand up. And then, of course, it's a movement action. It's going to trigger an attack of opportunity by the fighter. So I was just like, wow, okay. you really freaking got this guy. So yeah, they defeated this guy. He ended up dying from a blast of lightning from the druid, who I described as just like letting off this powerful lightning blast, and then the person like flies back into the headmaster's desk and just sort of like smashes through it. Interestingly, they took like a bunch more rounds to kill off this one single skeleton than it took to kill the anti-paladin, just because of like the damage reduction that skeletons have.
That's pretty funny.
It lasted like 2 or 3 more rounds, because it got hit by a frightened spell, so it was like at the other side of the room, and then like they had to go over there and fight it, and just, you know, because they reduce all damage except for like magic or pierce or bludgeoning or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, that thing took a while, but the anti-paladin, no, they just blew it apart.
Well, that guy is obviously just like a big bad guy, so, you know, lightning bolt for days. But like one skeleton probably just used like the whatever shit they had on hand, right? They don't want to like blast it with lightning bolt or something.
They don't want to use the good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that session was sort of like, that was all in one session, just because it took a lot of like notes, looking up and stuff, just because they were getting used to new abilities and things, but they really got into it. They ended the session with waking up the headmaster, and then we went to I will go into my next session notes, where they were briefly able to awake the anti-paladin, just to get a couple of words out of him. He mentioned the unliving hand, which one person was able to identify as like this cult of like living people who like are obsessed with the undead, or like, no, it's more like a council of like intelligent undead, as well as some like living people who are involved in that sort of thing.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, and then they looted him, because, you know, they're adventurous.
Took all your stuff. Sucks to be you, King.
They briefly talked with the headmaster for a bit. They were trying to get, because like when the headmaster woke up, the first thing he did was like, he asked like, did they take my hat? Because he had a cool wizard hat there. And they really wanted that hat, and I was like, I'll give it to you, it does something. But, you know, you got to convince the guy because he got the hat as a gift. So it's like it's really important to him and stuff. But, you know, you did save his life. So, you know, just roll me a decent diplomacy check.
As we know that hats are very important to wizards and very magical items.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Maybe that might be canon now. It's just every wizard in my world, like their hat is like one of the most powerful things they own. Wizard hat and staff, man.
Exactly. The staff is for blasting, but the hat is where all power is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like the hat does do something. I was just like, he'll probably give it to you. Just roll like a decent diplomacy check because you did save his life just now. Unfortunately, the one person who did not roll high enough, and I was like, I guess I wrote this card for nothing.
It's okay.
But yeah,
they'll get it back eventually.
Yeah, if they go back there, they can try again. Like I was saying, you can try again. I don't know. I want to give it to you, but but they did end up staying at an inn. The bar tried to like get a discount on the rooms, and the tavern owner was like, if you can outplay that person over there, and it was someone that they had briefly met before, then like you can get the rooms for free. And then, you know, I had them roll some competing checks. Unfortunately, didn't work out in their favor, but they were entertaining enough to get like a half off of the room. And then they did one of my favorite things that players do, is they talked amongst themselves. And it was really fun because they were talking about like where their characters were from, and they were mentioning locations that were on like the game world map, and I was like, oh my god, you guys. I don't know. It was just it just really meant a lot to me that people were saying like, oh hey, we're also from the same region. How cool is that? I was like, yeah, you guys are. You're from the same place that I made like, what is it, 3 years ago now. I don't know, just like that investment, I gotta say, that investment in the game and the game world and stuff, that just means so much to me as a DM. Like I try to bring that whenever I'm in a game, because I know like the DM is making a lot of effort, and I want to make sure that I'm trying to match them. I don't know, I like, nothing beats that feeling for me.
Yeah, man, it's a sauce.
Sauce.
Whatever's important to you and your players are interacting with it, like that's all it is, man.
Exactly. I don't know if you have a thing like that when the players are like really needling into it, then it's really, I don't know if you have like a specific thing or.
Oh, well, for me it's like always the magic items, man. Like in the pirate campaign when I like handed Payne over like his JoJo axe, and he was like, wow, look at all this cool stuff, and then he's like, during like the thick of fighting Mistress Sonata, like the giant half demon lady, he was like, wait, I have an ability, let me try and use it so I don't die from the axe. And I was like, yes use it. It's exactly why I put it there. So yeah, no, it was awesome. That's the sauce for me. So, you know, find your sauce and hopefully your players just give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that is one of the most rewarding things. That's why I want more people to run games, because I want more people to have that feeling. Just when your players and you are on the same wavelength, and you're all just like really into this thing that you're doing, this collaborative story that you're telling all together, whatever aspect of it you're like most into. That's just, there's nothing like it, man. If I could let every person in the world feel that for just like 5 seconds, that would be my goal. But anywho, instead of getting all weepy and crap, so the next day,
serious.
So here's one thing one of my players shouldn't have done. They shouldn't have given me so much control, because they're playing a witch. So they gave me some ideas, but I had to make up a patron for them. And I got some ideas. Because, again, this person has been cursed before. So they were a bit on edge about being cursed and stuff again. And I don't know. It's fun to mess with them specifically in weird magic ways. So they have a little, like, fox who's sort of like their familiar. And the fox was, like, really cool, really fun. It's actually been playing with the druid's animal companion. They're really getting along together. It's adorable. But it was only unadorable this one particular morning because they woke up after having like this weird dream. They were sort of in that space between being asleep and awake. The fox was giving them like this strange dead-eyed look, and then it coughed and coughed again, and then it summoned up a note. Like it coughed out a scrolled up piece of parchment from its mouth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, look, a telegram. Just like...
And then the note said something. I don't want to say it because I don't know if any of the players are going to listen to this. Only that specific person has seen it. But oh man, it's going to be real fun. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with that. I'll just say. I can tell you more off air, but like, I don't know. They gave me this opportunity to do this crazy thing, and I really want to have a lot of fun with it.
I mean, honestly, like, it makes me think of, like, Animal Messenger, and how, like, it would be hilarious instead of, like, the animals tell you what happened. It's like they just cough up a note. They just, like, you just, like, feed this note to this squirrel, and the squirrel just runs off. And you're like, oh, hey, little squirrel, how you doing? It's just like this parchment. And it just runs off. You're like, oh, okay, thanks. You have to like you know, like shake off the slobber.
That's definitely how that spell should work. But yeah, so they got themselves together. They picked up they also had some other research to deal with from another side quest. It was all tied all the way back to like the second major quest that they did, which was saving this town from a plague that was sort of, they found out it was like someone was like experimenting on the town with like this fungus plague. So they got some more notes on that. They met this lady that I made her like several years ago, who she's supposed to be like this sort of like cool what's the word I'm looking for, like not cool professor as in like turns their chair around to have a conversation with you young kids, but like sort of cold-ish, I guess.
She's not cool, she's ice cold.
Yes. Exactly. But she also has like this attachment to like vermin and insects and stuff like that. I don't know where I was going with. I mean, I know where I was going with that, but I was like, I don't know if I feel like doing that anymore. So, she's a bit more normal now. But if they push her buttons, we'll see where that goes. But other than that, before going and dealing with like the whole Dragon's Crown thing, or Crown of Dragons, I should say. Dragon's Crown is a real video game and not something that I am ripping off in any way. Before they were dealing with the Crown of Dragons.
The Draco Coronum.
The Draco Coronum, yes. They wanted to do like a bit of another thing that was in the area, because like all draconic creatures were acting like really strange and aggressive. They came across, those kobolds and that wyvern they had fought before, and also the drakes that were like in the middle of the ocean where they shouldn't have been and killed that one player. So far, the 2 players who've died have been at the hands of like mad draconic creatures. So
hey,
they did want to deal with this thing.
Yeah, that's what's on the packaging, right? Crown of Dragons, right? That's what I know, right?
So yeah, so they traveled out. I did a bit of random encounter stuff. They saw some unique things. That again, I think I talked about this back when I talked about like the random tables episode. But like there's some things on it that are just like random things you see, So
yeah,
they helped me do some world building with some stuff that I might not have thought of like previously, but now I have a note there that, oh, this thing is here, so what could it mean? Where else might it be? Stuff like that. This time it was like these faces carved into trees, and there were some stories that they might have been like living tree guardians of the forest areas. So other than that, they set up a night watch, and during that, one player managed to encounter an injured wolf. It was a druid player, so she was able to patch up the wolf and talk to it for a bit, and maybe that'll come in handy later.
Oh, wolf friend.
Yeah. So the next day, they ran into some wolves. But unfortunately, they didn't see the wolf that they had saved among that particular pack of them. However, before they could really deal with the wolves, they got attacked by some drakes. So this was again the point where it was like, because it was a drake that had killed that previous player, and these ones were of a higher level, pretty close to the wyvern that had killed another player. So I don't know, I was again worried. But they really like rallied together. They're getting so used to their abilities and stuff like that. So, you know, like I'm just letting them work.
The team's coming together.
Yeah. Because like again, I worry sometimes if I'm making my encounters too hard. But now I feel like, okay, now I'm in a space where I can comfortably turn up the heat a bit. I can be less worried about difficulty and lean into sort of like higher level encounters, which is good for me because now it gives me like a more wider range of things that I can use. So I don't have to be like, well, I shouldn't go over this certain CR because I don't know if they can handle it. It's be like, it'll be tough, but I think it's doable for them. They've proven that they can handle things that are like lower with relative ease, which is good because they ran into some more drakes. But they did briefly camp out within the forest. Like there was this small village within the forest, but only one person was left there because they kept getting attacked by like all these drakes and stuff. This guy named Liam, with a Y, because that is the trademark of all my fantasy names, is that they have a Y in it.
All right, Lime.
Liam. So yeah, he did discuss with them like things that were going on, set some hints and stuff about like certain plot threads, and then he shared with them some warm cider, and they had some conversations about the forest. But he was also able to give them a map, which I used to sort of shave off some travel time for them. So then we went into the last fight, which was against a drake, and also, so my plan for this encounter map was I had some wolves there, particularly a winter wolf, and then just some regular wolves. But also, one of them was the wolf that had been helped previously by this druid character. So, luckily for them, they finally rolled decent on diplomacy. So they were able to sort of like avoid this wolf encounter. They did use a hero point for a reroll, but they were able to, avoid having to fight wolves as well. And then they just had to fight this drake. And then, so again, the fight went really well. But this is where I have to talk about the summoning thing, because this was again like, oh, you can do this cool new thing? What is this? I don't know what this is. Oh, it's horrible. So,
Okay.
Boy, what is it called? A little spell called Final Sacrifice, I believe is the name of it.
What?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard about that spell. It must be a witch spell, right?
It's definitely a witch spell. So here's how it goes. So the witch is able to summon like small fey creatures. Like they summoned a sprite last battle. It didn't really do much except for like distract one zombie, and then they ran off to the office fight. So the thing just kind of like fizzled away. This time they summoned it again. So I was like, okay, it's the same sprite that you saw earlier. It comes back, it recognizes you, it's all familiar and stuff. So there's a spell apparently where you channel energies between you and the minion you've summoned, which causes it to explode.
Oh.
And,
okay.
And creatures within 20 feet take 6d6 fire damage.
Oh, that poor sprite.
So.
Oh my god, that sounds awesome.
Oh man, because like I specifically brought the same one back that had been summoned before. I was like, I named it because I was like, I don't know, if she's gonna keep using this spell, then maybe you'll keep summoning the same. Like if she summons a sprite or a fairy or whatever, it'll be like the same one. She can summon different types of things, but it'll be the same specific like person or specific character over and over again. So I wrote down a name for this thing. Like I gave it a name. And then she blew it to hell.
That's awesome. Just
boom, exploded the crap out of this thing. It's like, what? Yeah. So, also, guess who failed their save?
I'm guessing the Drakes.
Yeah. Yeah. She got crit damage on the spell. The thing took 50 damage.
Oh. Wow, nice. Poor little sprite just nuked a Drake.
And it was already on top of a flaming sphere, and then the fighter came up and finished it off with like another crit attack. I was like, yeah, this thing's hella dead. So I am hoping that whatever is summoning Silrona does not use this spell.
Oh man, that's too funny.
Because I think you should keep it to be the
Yeah, I was gonna say you should probably keep the same sprite because like they don't really die.
Yeah, no, they just go back to the first world or whatever the realm that they're from is. Yeah, no, it's
right.
It is gonna have some words when it comes back.
Yeah,
Let me tell you.
It should just be like, hey, listen, like I'm gonna stop helping you guys out every time you keep exploding. Then we should just be like, yeah, don't worry, it's fine, right? And then just go over there, and then you're like, it's like fighting, and then all of a sudden just like, blows up again, and he comes back again. He's like, I'm not gonna fall for it again.
Not this time.
Not this time.
Yeah, no, that's a crazy spell. I really hope that they use it more. Also, I found out very recently that there are rules for fairy player characters, which I did not know.
Oh, cool.
So, if I need an excuse to make another player character for something, because I started working in the Path Builder 2 app. I was making this fairy barbarian.
Oh, yes.
And like they're literally tiny. Like their reach is in the square that they are in. They're still like tiny sized creatures, but like I don't know, I thought it'd be hilarious to have like this 6-inch tall barbarian that was still like crazy strong but also couldn't like reach anything.
Yeah,
so
how does that
someone
work
needs
with
to give me an
like
excuse to make him.
Well, I guess nothing would really get you out of that if you're that small. I mean, even if you're like a giant totem barbarian wielding something that's like gigantic, it's just really just like a really big kitchen knife or just a regular sword.
Yeah, basically. I was thinking of using giant totems so I could use weapons like a size larger, but then I was like, no, wait, I've already done this. I gotta do something different. So I don't know. Maybe they will be NPC like most player characters' ideas that don't get to be played. They end up being an NPC.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, they were able to find. They found this thing that was like relaying a signal that was driving the draconic creatures in the area like crazy. They were easily able to destroy it. And maybe there's more. Maybe there's another side quest going on.
Ooh, add it to the list.
Yes, add it to the list.
Right next to sewer notes. 1 out of 100 sewer notes collected.
It's very tempting to do that sort of thing. Like, I'm trying not to, but it's really tempting.
All of your sewers all across the land just full of notes.
You have collected 1 of 4 dragon messer-uppers, I don't know. But yeah, that was that session. So I don't know. I gotta figure out what sort of combats I want to hit them with next, because they're doing really well. They're moving really effectively. So I don't have to like hesitate, because like the drakes that killed that one player, they were like level 3. There was a few of them, but they were level 3. And then, you know, the wyvern that killed the other person, it was level 6, and they leveled up since then. So I do have more room to play a bit, and I can use some more unique creatures. I don't know what CR I'm going to go up to yet. I'm going to start, like, testing the limits, see where I can go with that. But
well, they have to fight a dragon eventually, Calvin. Like, the thing is called Crown of Dragons, so, I mean,
like I know
if they don't.
I know where I would want a dragon to show up. I just don't know if I should like bump it up a bit in case it's taking too long.
Well, who knows? I mean, I don't think I actually keep track of XP in the pirate game. I just kind of level up people.
Yeah, it's more of a milestone
by, like,
thing.
I don't even think about milestone. It's just mostly just like, wow, that was pretty crazy. You guys should probably get a reward. Like,
here's a level.
yeah, good job not dying. Here you go.
Yeah, no, for me, it's more like it's one less thing that I have to worry about. Like, I don't have to consider, should they level up at this point? Should they level up a couple sessions from now? Is that a big enough fight to be considered a level up? It's just like, once their number goes up, then they'll level up. I don't have to worry. I don't have to think about it. But like, I do kind of partially miss milestone leveling, because then you can fit it in like narratively. Because like when you, like you said, when they do something awesome, when they come across like a major encounter or something like that, then you can say you've clearly gotten better at what you're doing, so you've leveled up. You can increase your abilities in some way. Because now I'm at the mercy of like, is their number high enough? I don't know. They could do like a major boss encounter, but their number might not be high enough, and then they don't level up after that. So, especially now that we've kind of switched from, because I used to give them like bonus XP for like certain moments in game and things like that, but we switched to using hero points. So I'll be rewarding them those instead. So, like, I don't know. I like, they're mostly getting XP from combat now at this point. But yeah, I just gotta figure out what else to throw at them. I think if they went back and fought that wyvern now, they would definitely be able to take it down.
Aren't they like halfway across an ocean somewhere?
Oh no, yeah, they're a ways away from it. I'm just saying, like, if they ever went back to that area, I don't think they will. I don't think their plans include going in that direction. But, you know, if they did, I think they're at a point where they can fight that thing.
I mean, it'd be pretty fun if they're like, let's go back and seek some revenge.
Yeah, because, like, half the party doesn't even know the wyvern.
Oh, man. Too funny.
But yeah, that was that session. Again, really fun. We're playing again not too long from now, on the 10th, I think. So... yeah,
that's been like your main campaign so far in your world. I think you've been consistently playing that thing for like months now.
Oh yeah, because they schedule like every other week or so. This time things were a bit off, so they had to move some things around. But yeah, we're next playing on the 10th. I mean, again, they write down in their schedules like, oh, we're playing on this day. And I'm like, holy crap, you're writing it down. That's really nice. They have like the two players whose characters I killed. They have like one of those kitchen magnet calendar things, and like there was one time where I had to move a session and they sent me a video of them like erasing it off the calendar and writing it down on a different day. It's like, I'm sorry.
Damn it, Calvin.
Oh man, but yeah, I'm having a ton of fun with that game. I'm having a ton of fun with Tim's game. I'm having a ton of fun like in everything that I'm in. I'm having a ton of fun over at USP where I'm playing Fallout still. I'm just like, oh man, RPGs, you know?
tons of fun. Actually, yeah, no man, it's making me want to run a game now. I'm like, itching to play, itching to get behind the DM screen. I want to run more Lancer on the channel. Mm-hmm. Oh man, I just have to find some time and tell everybody to show up.
Oh yeah, it is. Time is the ultimate enemy of all DMs. There's the one creature we cannot defeat.
Yeah, but hopefully soon we can get another episode out, and whatever's coming else down the pipeline, hopefully we get that out. And yeah, man, that sounds like you're having tons of fun, and I'm glad that, like, you know, Tim's game went well, and we learned a lot. Everyone learned a lot along the way.
The lesson. That lesson is don't buy mysterious cowboy hats.
Yeah, unless you want to be whisked away to a place with a dark sun. Ooh. I don't know. I'll have to come up with some cool shit to talk about next time I reappear.
Yeah, I think Tim has some ideas as well. So you two figure something out, and I don't know. Maybe it'll end up being our problem at some point in the future. Maybe we'll get sucked into the cowboy dimension or whatever you're going.
That'd be pretty awesome. I mean, I would just probably just say like we're fighting aliens. It's aliens and cowboys.
Classic Daniel Craig movie.
Oh my god, I remember watching that movie in theaters. I was like, what the heck is this?
I mean, it was exactly what it advertised.
I was like, well, why is Daniel Craig in it? Like, it was like the most weirdest movie ever.
Who else would you get to play a cowboy than James Bond?
I don't know. It's a James Bond. Literally anybody else, because this movie, I just don't even know how they afforded him, because like man, the premise of that movie did not warrant like James Bond to be in it.
I barely remember it, so I'm gonna choose to remember that it was fantastic. But yeah,
Us too, Kevin.
I think that's gonna do it for this episode. Before we start rambling on about more movies with aliens, I don't know. Monsters vs. Aliens was okay. Stephen Colbert was in it, but anyway. So this episode was mostly like recap stuff, which was mostly just me gushing about games that I'm in or gushing about games that I'm playing. But hopefully we communicated some useful things. I don't know did we give out DM advice this episode? Other than the actual DM advice that we did up top. Be descriptive with your dice rolls. Celebrate your players, and players celebrate your DMs, I guess.
Yeah, and it's always about the sauce.
It is. It really is.
Give your players the sauce that you love, and they'll give it back to you. That's what it is.
Exactly. Yeah. And again, for players, it's really cool. It's really fun when a player is into the game. So if you can just give that a little bit, if you find something that you're really excited about in your game, just make sure your DM knows that you're really into it, or like you mentioned that you're having fun or something like that. Just because, I don't know, it's a really fun thing. I think people really appreciate it, and maybe just don't realize how much someone would appreciate just hearing that. I think sometimes it's just an assumed thing. But yeah, I think that's it for the episode. Before we start rambling on even more, you should go into the outro, where I tell you all that if you like this episode, you should hit that subscribe button and also hit the notification bell so you get a notification when we upload or when we go live with Lancer. And keep an eye on the space for more things we do in the future. And also be sure to check out our Facebook and our Twitter. Our Twitter is much more active. You'll see more retweets of Lancer stuff, Starfinder stuff, Mutants and Mastermind stuff mostly. I did retweet something from that bot that I mentioned earlier, so you should go check that out. What else? Our website, winwithdice.ca, where you can go see, I did post Steven's art up there. Steven, one of the players on our Lancer game, he drew some art of our Lancer characters, what they look like outside of the suits. So you can see, whenever you watch a Lancer episode, just imagine those people in excruciating pain as they're getting blasted by robots.
No regrets.
Yeah, for you. And I think that's about it. Be sure to, check us out every week. Shout out to the Untold Stories Project channel, where I've been playing Fallout for the last few weeks. We're getting closer to the end of it, I believe, as we move into quarter 2. So, be sure to come around there for the finale. Ramon, I gotta tell you, I was real worried my character was gonna die last week, because I was the only person in the party who was still conscious and not mind controlled for a hot round there.
Oh, okay.
So, if you want to see my character,
bullets, eh?
Oh man, yeah, I was literally the only one. It was really scary. I was trying to be cool, but I was terrified. So if you want to see more of that, just be sure to check out that channel. And I think that's about it. Ramon, do you have anything else you want to say before we head off?
No. Give the people what they want.
What the people want? Well, I know exactly what they want, Ramon. And that is that they want to keep on winning with dice. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.